just enjoying a holiday. It's also an opportunity to get a better understanding of things Hindu, things cultural and religious from a Hindu perspective. And we turn our attention now to the Hindu Students Council of Trinidad and Tobago, which is an organization of secondary and post-secondary students dedicated to building a strong organizational network amongst Hindu students in the country. Head of the council, Vasant, Basdeo, and secretary of the organization, Kristal, Sooknanan, will now join us to give us a youth perspective on Hinduism. Good to have you on the program. Tell us a bit about the organization, Vasant. When did it start? What was the reason for starting it, and what's it all about?
Well, in 2003, at the birth centenary of Goswami Tulsidas, the youths of Trinidad and Tobago were brought together at a conference termed YUVA, which the acronym stands for Youths United for Virtue and Action. This acronym is actually a Sanskrit acronym, and it literally translates into youth. And it's at this conference that the youths recognized that, we need to bring the youths of Trinidad and Tobago, the Hindu youths, together and create, a forum and a platform where the youths can come together, express themselves, and, practice their dharma and their religion in this regard.
Do you think you've been able to achieve that? The organization has been able to achieve that?
Yes, definitely. Since its inception in 2003, the organization has catapulted tremendously. We've extended our branches in terms of we're no longer just a student council. We extend into the secondary schools where we have a chapter system. So there's a North chapter, a Central chapter, and a South chapter, which comprises of secondary school students. And then the tertiary chapter comprises of organizations such as MEDS at Mount Hope, UE Hindu Society at UE, UTT campus, and etc.
Kristal, tell us a little bit about your own involvement in the organization, because there seems to be, I don't know if the word is discomfort, but young professionals, young people who aspire to tertiary level education, aspire to a level of professionalism in the wider world. There seems to be an issue. Well, religion is something in the background because it can be awkward depending on what social setting you're in. How do you see your role in this Hindu Students Council?
Well, that's a good question, and that would actually bring me back to one of the UVAs we had this year. Because as Vasant said, UVA is our annual signature event, and it's a youth conference, right? But this year, the theme of the conference was Trinbago Youth, Hindu Root, Bridging the Gap, with sub-themes of service, patriotism, and identity. So at this conference, it would directly answer this question. How can you be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, be a student at school, and still balance all that with practicing your religion and your culture? So I think with my role, I have been an active part of this council, and I enjoy being here. It's more than being in the background. It's about actually, the way I see it is the more proactive you are in something like this, is the more that you will find yourself doing better in school and wanting to aim higher in life.
Does it blend comfortably into what you aspire to educationally and professionally?
Right. Well, we are both medical students, and actually, in our school where we go to school, there's a group called MEDS. So we were in that group before we came to the council. So we served on that, and then we went to the council. So it blends perfectly well because we our friends are involved too. So it's something we get to do to serve society, because we do charity work as well. It's not only about religion and culture. It's about serving humanity, about being a good citizen of the country.
Basant, is there a concern, not just with the Hindu Students Council, but any religious organization, especially youth-based, where sometimes you might be branded as fanatical or branded as fundamentalist, and we know all the labels that are attached to different religious organizations. Is the Students Council conscious of this, aware of this?
Certainly, most definitely. As any religious organization, there's always the perception by society, of these fanaticism and these things. But at the council, we promote more than just religious and these things. It's a culture, it's a way of life, our dharma. It's the way we carry about ourselves. And our activities are not geared towards just Hindu population. Most of our activities are in fact geared towards the general public in society. For instance, we have blood drives, charitable drives, etc. So we tend to get our activities, yes, while practicing our dharma and our religion, but get the activities more from a perspective of holistic development of the country.
Have you found it easier to have a dialogue with your peers of different religions than some would see it, because you would follow what happens in the media.
Yes.
You know, the polarization, them Hindu and them African and them Indian and them, and so on. Is it similar, or do you find the same barriers coming up when discussions arise?
Certainly there are barriers, definitely. And at the council we seek to get rid of these barriers. So we tend to encourage other organizations, make contact with other organizations, for instance, Muslims, Christians, and try to come together and let everyone know that, Trinidad being the multicultural, multi-religious, multifaceted or country that we are, we all need to have respect for one another. And with organizations like ourselves, if each of us do our duty and our work as, the various organizations and respect each other, then, we can all come together at the end of the day and say, all of us are contributing towards the pie and development of our country.
But does that involve, Kristal, in a society such as ours, which is multi-ethnic, different faiths, different ways of looking at things? Some people say that, religion is an ancient thing anyway that is of no relevance to us. Do you find yourself having to almost remind yourself to reinforce your own beliefs so that it can be easily watered down in an environment where you may be asked to compromise in certain things? Is that a challenge?
It is definitely a challenge, actually, because sometimes, we live in a society as multifaceted, many religions, so sometimes you could get carried away by trying to learn about other religions or cultures, but it comes down to the foundation, I guess. In the home, my parents, are rooted in their religion, so I have that foundation there that would remind me every day of my purpose. But Hinduism is more of a way of life, is a dynamic religion. So it allows us to be open to all different types of beliefs, all different types of cultures. But it is a challenge. But I'll give you an example of something that happened at the Divali Nagarado. One night, I was there at the booth, and this guy approached me, and he is not Hindu or he is not Indian, and he had so many questions about it. And something like that reminded me that it's not about trying to get people to convert or to believe what you believe. It's just about being informed and gaining knowledge about each other's religions and beliefs.
Is that happening enough? Do you find enough people asking the questions because they want to know, or because they have a preconceived notion and looking for another reason to condemn?
That's the thing. It's a very touchy topic when we talk about religion, because at the council, we're not about enforcing anything. We share our beliefs and what we stand for as Hindus, but we're not about enforcing this belief on anyone. And we're not going to go approach people and say, hey, this is our beliefs and these things. The information is there. We are willing to share for those. And as you said, it's a very it can be two sides of the same coin, because whereas an individual may seek knowledge for other reasons, to probably solidify his beliefs as well, it raises the question as you asked.
I'm looking at some of the information that you sent us in relation to the Hindu Students' Council, and the first thing I underlined was this being perhaps the darkest time in Trinidad and Tobago.
Definitely.
Why is that?
Well, apart from being the darkest month of the year, Kartik, and Diwali being celebrated on the darkest night, we find that, Trinidad and Tobago is really under pressure these days. Apart from the state of emergency that we're experiencing, the scourge and crime, we find that morals and values in society is just plummeting rapidly. And the youths are becoming, very much caught up in the Western lifestyle and losing that touch with who they are and what their beliefs are, and they've been rooted, as Kristal rightly said before. So we at the council recognize this and realize that, we need to start acting proactively rather than just spreading the message of Diwali, light over darkness, and good over evil. We actually have to start practicing this and putting it into action.
Is that a challenge? Because as with many other groupings, it's easy to talk the talk, but is it difficult to walk the walk?
It is a big challenge, yeah.
Because as you said, it's very difficult right now, because a problem we face, especially with the council, is that we're run entirely by students. We have two senior advisors, Rayvon Tilaksing and Ronald Chakri, who both are now, you can say, employed and no longer students. But apart from that, it's entirely run by students. So what the difficulties we're faced with is especially parents. Parents seem to be unwilling to allow their students to take part in activities, such that what the council would have. And we find that it's very odd and strange that, parents kind of give us this kind of red tape. As when we ask for like...
Let me understand. You mean Hindu parents putting red tape on students being involved in the Hindu students? Is there a fear of radicalism or some sort of thing? Or?
I think it's a conception in society now that, especially with parents who are focused on the education of their children, education now has become more academic and not holistic. You find that students now who are being educated are very academically prowessed, and whereas the parents are unwilling to probably send them to a workshop we're having, an event we're having, a blood drive, any events we're having, because they see it as probably taking up of their time and probably being as, a hindrance to their studies and whatnot.
But you all are two young people, but I can assure you it has always been thus, in the sense that, from generations going back, it was always, you either be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or something like that. But Kristal, Sooknanan, from that perspective, do you see any softening of that position by, maybe not necessarily your parents, maybe they might have a broader view, but do you see generally that view being softened? Because if you're going to understand about being part of a society, a multicultural, multi-ethnic society, it can't just simply be the lawyer degree or doctor degree, but is it still the same hard line from parents?
Actually, I'll be honest with this, but initially my parents were a bit
skeptical
about allowing me to be so involved and proactive. They never stopped me from participating in anything, but being on the council, it requires a lot of your time and resources, and it's something that I like to do, but you would always get this little skepticism from your parents, you should probably like one day for the week or something, and then the rest of the day study, but it's like Divali Nagar, for example, it takes up a lot of your time. It's 10 days, and my mom will call and be like, yeah, we went again, every night, so I was like, yeah, well, I'll go to help. But it is a challenge, but I think with time, they see the purpose and they see the need to allow this, because, you can't only be academics. You have to be balanced. You have to get involved in your religion, in your culture, in your country, to socialize with other youths, to, know what's going on, to be in the know. So it's a challenge with parents, but I think, if there's that little opening that, okay, yes, I would allow my child to go to this one event, and they themselves could come, that's something we do. We try to recommend that parents accompany the students so they will see what we are about, because we are not asking the parents, okay, we are having this event in this location, drop them and come back, because parents too are worried about the safety of their children, especially nowadays. So we tell them to come, stay with them, see what we are doing, see what is going on, the workshops that we're having, the events that we're having. And after that, they themselves will understand, and they themselves will encourage them children to come to it.
As young Hindus yourself, I'll ask you first, Vasant, how do you feel as a Hindu in 2011? Did you feel that you're... Let me ask, you take it with whichever direction you want. How do you feel as a Hindu in 2011?
It's a challenge to be a Hindu in 2011. It's a society, and in fact, the whole push forward now is a very westernized, and certain things you find yourselves questioning yourself whether am I fitting in into society as being a Hindu youth, as a young Hindu guy, male growing up. Am I being deemed by the rest of society as an alien when I practice my religion and my dharma? And it's a challenge, and that's why at the council we try to make everyone feel comfortable, and not only as us Hindus, but it has to go across the board. It has to be where all other sectors in society feel, comfortable in practicing their religion and their dharma and stuff. So simple things like, the tying of rakis on your hand and stuff. I'm sure there are Hindus out there who are concerned about wearing it to school, being ridiculed and whatnot. And this is where the council seeks to give that voice and that unity to the youths to be able to say, hey, this is my dharma, this is my beliefs, and I am entitled to it, and I have a right to practice my religion. But not being bold or inconsiderate to others as well.
Kristal, from your own view as a Hindu in 2011, how do you feel?
Well, for a girl, it's even more challenging, because we get more resistance to be open, to do things. But I guess, you have to be, the thing about it, everything you do, you must do it with a certain lovingness and passion towards it, and you must be kind to others. So when I practice my beliefs, and participate in my culture. My friends see this as something I love to do, so it's not as though they would look at me as, okay, I'm doing some kind of foreign or alien.
Exactly. People see it as some kind of, because of the ways our society is. From the time something is different, some foreign simmy-dimmy they're doing there.
Right.
And it's not meant to be disrespectful, but it comes across as disrespectful. Does that, and the same thing as you talk about the Iraqi and so on, that people always, you see people rolling their eyes and wondering, what is this sort of thing. Has that changed in any significant way from your own experience? Are people more respectful or more understanding?
Well, the thing about it is people usually alienate what they don't know or understand. So that is where we try to raise the awareness, to inform people, to make people knowledgeable about these things. As I said before, it's not about forcing our beliefs on anybody. It's just for the sake of knowing, because we are all brothers and sisters living in this country. So it's all about knowing what we practice and what we believe. So with time, you would find that more people know about Iraqi and more people begin to understand, because what is Raksha Bandhan? We tie Iraqis for our brothers, and this is a sign of love, and the brother is a sign for the brother to protect the sister. So more events like this, and when we do stuff like this in the open and allow youths to participate in it, whether you're Hindu or Christian or Muslim or what, once you consider somebody as your brother or sister, this is the sort of brotherly love that we do, tying Iraqi, simple act of love.
Like almost every occasion in Trinidad and Tobago, religious or otherwise, has Diwali become too commercial?
Definitely. Certainly. I was at the Nagar last night and with some friends, and we were walking around and we were just amazed that they are booths selling cars at the Nagar, and I'm saying this on national television. That should not be. The Nagar is an area for cultural events and whatnot, and it's an area for the community to come together and all be practicing Diwali and stuff. Diwali, definitely, like all other events, Christmas, Eid, has become, commercialized, as you rightly said. And we need to, as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, hold on to our beliefs and culture before it's too late. And it's really something that is very saddening to see happening.
Kristal, and I know from a woman, and I don't mean to sound sexist, right, but it's the same thing with Eid and so on. Women flock the stores to buy all the outfits and to look good on Eid Day, and I suppose with Diwali. And all. Does that bother you? Because some will say, look, it's a time to be happy, a time to dress in your best clothes, to feel proud about being a Hindu or Muslim or Christian, whatever the occasion.
Well, that part of is kind of okay for someone to want to buy a new outfit or to be looking good on Diwali Day. But they must never forget the real reason behind it, to give praises and offerings to Mother Lakshmi. They must never forget that real reason, because it's about cleansing your inner self. It's not only about, a lot of people, Diwali will be coming up, they'll be cleaning their homes, cleaning out their closets to get new outfits. But they don't realize that they need to clean their inner selves too, because we need to get rid of this ignorance. That's what the light of Diwali is about.
Well, before we close off this segment, I'll invite both of you, Vasant, first to give your own greeting to the Hindu community on this auspicious occasion.
Well, namaste everyone, and on this Diwali 2011, I bring greetings from the Hindu Students' Council of Trinidad and Tobago. And I just want to remind everyone that, bear in mind that, yes, Diwali is a very festive season, and we all get caught up in cleaning and going to the stores and stuff. Let us take that time to reflect inwards and meditate and do some inner searching on the true meaning of Diwali. And, as Kristal was saying, get this ignorance out of us and let the light from within shine and do in our day-to-day activities.
Kristal, your own greeting?
Okay, I'd just like to say, as we keep in mind our surroundings and environments, and we have our homes and our physical surroundings clean and spick and span, also remember the purpose behind Diwali and the Mata Lakshmi, to give your praises, even if you don't know Hindi or Sanskrit mantra, just within yourself, humbly go to the Lord and say, okay, forgive me for what I've done. I offer these offerings unto you. So I just like to say happy Diwali to everybody. Shubh Diwali. Have a bright and prosperous year, because Diwali is considered as the new year for Hindus, and may Mata Lakshmi shower her choicest blessings upon each and every one of you.
And before we close off the segment, the council has its blood drive, which is coming up on the 5th of November at the Divali Nagar Auditorium from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. and they urge you to give the gift of life and give blood. They've got a workshop, a Hindu perspective, on the 13th of November from 8 to 4 at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. And there's also a walk of determination on October the 30th from 5:45. So lots of information there you could get from the Hindu Students' Council as we come to the end of this segment.
Good morning. This is news for Wednesday, October 26th. I'm Shamla Prasad. Happy Diwali to you. Topping the news at this hour, as Hindus celebrate Diwali across the world, Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisasa encourages all citizens to remember the simple but powerful message of Diwali, which is a celebration of light over darkness and goodness over ignorance and evil. She's also encouraging all citizens to make a commitment each day to resist those negative forces